זה שיר פשוט, זה שיר קצר, אולי נשמע טיפה מוזר, אבל תדע, כי זו עובדה, שאלוהים אוהב אותך, והוא רואה, והוא שומע.
Oh, hello. Someday I'm going to get caught in the background just dancing away. It's going to be fun. Well, welcome to the practical portion. I'm Charlie Brown, founder, director of the Rooted Cafe. I am so stinking blessed to be here today as we get to start the book of Numbers, or by Midbar. You know what? Numbers was the first book of Torah that I just fell in love with. And I think it's fun that that was the one that after years of being in the Word my whole life, that all of a sudden in my 30s, when I came to find Yeshua in Torah, is all of a sudden this book came alive to me. And it was crazy in this book that before I would just try to get through really quick. But now I saw this amazing transformation happening, and I identified with that of what was going on in my life. So I love it. So, I mean, I'm sure that book is going to change. Each year it changes. Something else is my favorite. You know, we joke, oh, this is my favorite this week. But this is really important to me, this portion. Of course, I'm in love with the book of Leviticus, but hey, we'll see what happens next year. We're going to be doing Numbers 1:1 through 4:20. And this portion is called Midbar. And that is actually the name of the whole book, right? And this is a honeymoon stage of this relationship. It's the leaving and cleaving time. And we're just going to be getting to know each other in here. But we've all been given these instructions. Now, how do we do this? How do we walk this out? We're going to start with doing some holy things, like do a head count. Really? I mean, what is he really asking of us? Because doesn't he know the number of hairs on our head? And I mean, for some of us, doesn't even know our original hair color. So anyways, hey, before we get into this, I'm just super excited that I want to share again. The new Gracie book is out, Gracie and the Story of Creation. I'm super excited and proud of it. Many of you know the story behind these Gracie, of course, my book, my dog Gracie. But writing these was for my granddaughters, Maya and Eliza, was to help share these beautiful stories by the dog that they know and love. And so many of you maybe already have Gracie in the story of the 10 words. We hit creation. We'll see what's next. I think we're doing Jonah and the whale next. So anyway, some fun stuff. So telling the stories of the whole word. We're going to just go through the whole thing, right? But so drum roll. Next week, we start this giant pre-launch of It's Not My Weed to Pull, The Diary of a Control Freak. And I'm so excited about this because it is a book that I have that's been in creation for 30 years. The Father dropped it in my heart over 25 years ago. And so those of you who want more information about it, go to charliebrown.com. Just an I in my name, no E. That's the little bald guy. And it's under construction right now. But if you keep checking back, you're going to see information about the pre-launch sale. So check in next week, and I'll remind you. I'll be doing giveaways and everything during this celebration. But today is going to be really special. This teaching is really special because I have a really special person in studio with me. And so I am going to introduce and bring in my bestie, my friend, Brenda Johnson. Now, many of you know her already as an instructor and a board member of the Rooted Cafe, but many of you may not know that Brenda has been teaching Torah for more than 20 years. I'm not going to go more than that. We'll just say 20 years. Let's keep it safe right there, right? You can follow her on Life with Brenda. We'll kind of talk about intermittently some places that they can follow you, Brenda. But you know what's coming really soon this year is your Aleph Bet course, which we get the benefit of. So many women all over the world, literally all over the world, have had the benefit of going through Brenda's course, the Aleph Bet course, discovering the energy of the letter. But she's going to be putting out a workbook to go along with it. It's going to be super exciting. Welcome. I want you to say hey, and I want you to tell us why. Is this energy of the letter something woo-woo? Like, what is this about, Brenda?
Yeah, hi, Charlie. I'm so glad to be here with you today. This is fun. This is like what we used to do all the time together.
Yeah, all the time. It's how the OG team's in the house.
Exactly. The energy of the letters. The Hebrew language is very different than the English language, and the letters, which is really great. It really ties into this portion this week. But the letters, they are stories in and of themselves. They're numbers, they're pictures, they have a story. And then when they're joined with other letters, the other numbers, the pictures, and the stories create even more of a story going forward and going backward. And it's just amazing. The energy of the letters is really about seeing the heartbeat of God, seeing his unfailing love for his people in the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, and how he puts them together in such unique ways to create stories within stories within stories. Nothing is just surface level. There's always more to the story. And just like in our Torah portion this week, with all of the people being gathered and numbered, it's kind of like, well, then they're all equal, right? Because they're all gathered. Everyone that's 20 years old or older, ready for war, that type of thing. You're all just like in a big pile, and I'm just going to count your heads. No. There's a story behind the gathering. There's a story behind each person. There's a uniqueness to each individual and to them collectively, with those that are around him and those that surround them. So
that's good. That's so good. That's a really good. I love how you put that, because that really is the picture we're going to see of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, right?
Yes.
And the way they're situated, and then the way they're situated together as a whole, collectively, and then this individual identities and callings that we see. We can go all the way back to Jacob proclaiming that over each one of his sons. We're going to see that identity and dare we say today, we're going to talk about, isn't that what happens to us when our name is proclaimed? So, let's talk about where we are right now. So, let's sit, like, where are we? What's the feel of what's going on? We're in the second month of the second year after leaving. Okay. This is the month of ER. That's where we're at right now. The same month we're in right now, but we've been 2 years in this wilderness. We've been 2 years sitting in this, right? It's a little bit different. They ain't there yet. They haven't reached the place yet. So what does this look like? We're at a place where he, now all of a sudden, the Holy One says, okay, Moshe, I want you to take a census. Is that what he says?
Yeah.
No, I want you to lift up their heads.
Exactly. That's totally different than what we say in English.
Yeah. And the last time when they did the count, it was the whole people. It was everybody.
Yeah.
They did a count of the men who were the ability to be in, fighting ages. But in this time, it's going to be different. They're going to be divided up by tribes. So, and the location of this tabernacle, it actually needed to be established first. I think that's my opinion, and I think I've read in the Chumash, is that the reason it was as a whole first is because they needed that. They didn't want them to get factioned off yet. There needed to be that identity established as a whole. The tabernacle needed to be established so that their identity was not in that tribe, but actually in their position by that tabernacle. And their individual identities and skills then would be to honor the tabernacle and the whole community, right?
Yeah, right.
So
it's never just about an individual person. It is and it isn't.
No.
Yes, he is concerned about us individually. Yes, he sees us. Yes, he counts the hairs on our head. Yes, he provides for us every step of the way. But our goal is not to just be individualistic. Our goal is to be gathered. Yes. And that's what we're seeing. The Holy One teaching his people at the infancy stage,
right,
of building them as a nation. He is teaching them about their identity. He's teaching them that they're more valuable collectively,
right,
than they are individually. Not saying that they're not important individually, but there's a story in their individuality, but there's a greater story in their collective tribe, but also in the other 3 tribes that are there, and all of the other things that are going on too, in surrounding the Mishkan. And isn't that what we're supposed to do? Aren't we supposed
look
to
at your body
from the center being the Holy One himself? The center is him.
Our bodies are like that. We have our heart in the center that keeps everything pumping and going. Everything's centered around that. What happened? Everything's to protect that, right? Even in the midst of fight or flight panic, the blood supply will shut off to all of your extremities to keep your vital organs and the blood pumping to your heart, right? So you may have your arms are there. We can look at it like, think about the Mishkan, like you said, there's three, and then there's the tribe, and then three tribes, right? And then there's all
Right.
the tribes. So it's like you
Right.
can have your arms, and then you have your forearms, but then you also have a hand and you have fingers. Like there's different parts of our body, but they still all make up our body.
Right. That's
Yeah.
really good. I love that. I love how you are able to show us the examples of the way that God works within his people through a scientific perspective. I mean, really, I do. I love that.
My nursey comes out.
Yeah, the nurse in you comes out. I read someone saying that it's like the individual cell of the body. It can die. It can, the individual cell can be shed. It can die, but the body stays alive. But when the body dies, the cells all die too. It's kind of like the Holy One is the thing that gives us life.
Yes.
That illuminates us as his creation. And we don't want to lose one cell. We don't want anyone to be left behind or to not be to be marginalized. We don't want them to be forgotten. We don't want them to be not valued, right?
Right.
It's really important that Yeshua taught us, Jesus taught us, that it's not just about us, but it's about the Father loves him and he loves us. Now repeat. Rinse,
repeat. It's very simple. It's just not easy. Right?
Yeah,
it is. Right. And we see it over and over in nature. Like I always think the more science classes I took, so the deeper I got into pathophysiology of our bodies, the more I was like, how could someone not believe there's a God? Yeah. Because everything was just another example. And I always think he's all, because like there's so many great examples. We look at a tree, it's all a tree, but then there's branches and there's leaves and there's roots and there's still parts, but together there's still parts of things that together, nothing's all one big blob of something. It all requires the other thing to function, And I know we've been talking in the Rooted Cafe. I know a couple of nights ago, Dr. Robin Gould, who's here on this station as well, and she also taught here this week on comparison, and that's one of the things is we might be the eye in the body of Messiah, but when we're jealous of the hand, because the hand gets to wear rings. I think that was an old Joyce Meyer's analogy, right? Or like, oh, I want to wear those cute shoes. I wish I was a foot. But the thing is, we're all set together. We function. Yes, every part. So how does that have us treat people differently when you're at the store and they're acting crazy, or you're somewhere and something happens? Do you see them as, oh wait, this is part of the body? What's their function? And they may not be they may be dysfunctional.
Yep.
And it's our job as the kingdom of priests to help bring them back into function. Right. If he's called us in that, at least not to point out not functional. That's not our job.
Right. We're not supposed to scream, Za'arat.
Yeah. No.
Look at people. The person with the Za'arat is supposed to cry out Za'arat, right? So,
absolutely.
Like the whole skin breakout and
absolutely
that they're unclean for ritual.
Yes.
Service.
And what we do wrong, I know that this is in Keisha's teaching on silence coming up in our Monday Musar. And the whole practice of silence is talking about that. The tongue, as we are speaking ill of someone, that Lashon Hara, it actually kills 3 people. It's murder, right? It murders the person who said it, the person who heard it, and the person who it's about. Again, we're 3 different parts that get affected. We're all affected. What you do, you are not an island unto yourself. That's what we're trying to get to. If you haven't got the point yet, we're gonna hit this horse at every level,
from every perspective.
But I mean, Brenda, can you just imagine? You have been camping out for 2 years. You and I are next to each other. We've been camping out. We've been traveling together. We've been sharing. We've been sharing utensils. Oh, I guess they wouldn't be passing the salt or anything because they were just eating manna. But I mean, there would be like, hey, I'm going to share my extra bowls with you. All those things are happening. We've gotten close. 2 years now. There's probably children born. there's stuff going on. Life
We're
is
gathering
happening.
manna every morning.
Right. We're like, hey, I'll meet you over at the manna. Let's go to the rock together and get some water. I mean, we like know each other. And then all of a sudden this cry goes out and these leaders rise up and they start saying, these banners start going up and they're saying it's time to move. And now we have to say goodbye to each other because it's a big old place. Like we are going to rarely see each other. We have to like meet up at the tabernacle, like, hey, psst, let's do a fellowship offering on Thursday at 6, or something. But I mean, you're going to be moving. People smell different. They may do things different. And there's a shakeup. I mean, we're starting this new book. I want us to feel what it was like to be there. There's a shakeup happening right now. Yes, there's new ways of doing things, who's going to be my new neighbors? And I don't know if that's happened to any of you lately. Have you feel like a shaking up that you've gotten used to something you thought you would always be this way, always do things this way. And then all of a sudden something goes out. You think this would never happen because this is how it's always been. And you're uprooted. And I think we just sometimes don't give credit to what was going on here, the upheaval that happened.
Yeah.
Because I think we get comfortable. And he was like, no, I've got a different plan. And I'm going to now call you out by your calling. I'm dividing you up by your calling because you can't operate it in your intended purpose being like this together. So sometimes he will pull you out of something that you were very comfortable in and you thought was going great. And he will pull you out of it because he's going to assign you and name you and put a calling on you. And I don't know who has to hear that, but maybe you're feeling disheveled and maybe you're feeling that everything's all a mess. Could you take a minute and just ask, Father, are you putting a new name on me? Are you having me now identify with my purpose and my calling? I mean, we've been through that, right, Brenda? Both of us. Yes. How many times?
Yes.
Pick a time.
Pick a number.
Yeah.
Charlie, what you're saying, it's reminding me of when Bezalel was called forth. And the Holy One, it says that the Holy One called him by name. Bezalel, he called him forth by name. And Bezalel is the Bet means in, and then the Zel is the shadow, and El is God. And so it's in the shadow of God. It's he was calling forth his creation, his man, who was made in his likeness and image, and he was calling him forth to operate within what he was created to be and to do. And that's what's happening right here. Yes. with all of this. He's calling them by name. Okay, so did you get goosebumps when
I got goosebumps because when you just gave us picture what I saw, I have to go get my Viewmaster you bought me. It's the cutest thing. Oh. It's across the room and I can't think my headset will reach me, but I'll have to go get it. But it is, I got my little Viewmaster and what I saw was when Moshe was in the cleft of the rock.
Yes.
That's the place of Bezalel. That's what he says. I'm going to show you who you are in the shadow. He's in the shadow of my ways. This is where I'm going to give you protection. This is where I'm going to tell you how to do everything. This is how I'm going to give you your assignments. This is how I'm going to, yes.
That's I'm going to speak and you're going to listen. Yes. And I'm going to help you listen. I'm going to teach you how to listen.
Yeah.
And that's what all of the things that they have to do, that's all part of it. He is trying to cause them to be a shadow of what is the way that things are, like
on earth as it is in heaven.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so this is the beauty of the book of Numbers. So if you've ever thought that the book of Numbers was boring, think again.
Yeah, just wait. Because
cool.
I want to hop into what this book means, but I just have a random fact just because there's a couple little things that I popped up, nerd facts. So, we know they were forbidden. They're forbidden to count someone's head. So when we say, they were to count them, I just want, some random fact that you may not know this, but they couldn't count their heads like 1, 2, 3, 4. What they had to do is the men had to come between the ages of 20 and 60 and bring a half shekel. And then they counted the coins because they could count the coins, and that was like a redemption price, a price of atonement, which was originally, if we go back and you go all the way back and you see that originally those was a half shekel, right?
Yes.
That half shekel coin, that was what's counted. Okay, so he says, you shall count pakad. It's the first usage we hear of this is in Genesis 21:1. It said, and the Lord visited pakad, Sarah,
hmm
as he had said, and the Lord did unto Sarah as he had spoken. Okay, just hold on to that, everyone. Just listen to that. Then Genesis 39:4 is the next usage of this word. Now, we're not saying, this doesn't sound like counted. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house and all that he had put into his hand. Pakad. It's the word is actually you're to look after, and you shall count. You shall look after. You shall look over the men
hmm
that are 20 to 60. And that word, and I'm not going to call you on this one, but it's pay, a kuf, and a resh.
hmm
So I just saw this power of the speech and the kuf. I was thinking in this, like I always think the mimicry or the monkey, like a monkey
Yeah.
see, monkey do, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
this mimicry of holiness. So this, what I want you to speak over. I want you to look this of your speech. I want you to show them how they're to act. I want you to be a picture of this guidance, and that head, that resh is that to be head and over them and to humbly to serve them. I mean, what I saw was I want you to have these men, and it's not assign these men, they're going to fight and go to battle and blah, blah. No, I want you to take care of them. I want you to guard over them. I want you to see them as valuable.
It's a shepherding term.
Yes, it's a shepherding term.
Shepherding term.
Yes, it's about having concern over them.
Pay attention. You're
Yes.
looking them over. You are studying them. You're lifting them up. You're making sure that everything in there is working right. It's a shepherding term.
Yeah.
So when we look at it like that whole thing is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's really, really completely different. And along with this, and I'll get out of my random facts, but this second census, there's exactly the same amount of people as there was 7 months prior.
Oh, wow.
So now, didn't anyone die? Didn't anyone age into 20 and age out of 60?
Yeah.
Like, now the Levites weren't even included in this count. They were included in the first count, but they weren't included in this count. So I don't know. Is it random? Is it a coincidence? This is just random. You guys tell us. We don't know.
What do you think? Yeah.
Is it a miracle? Is it just? I don't think it's a coincidence. I don't think there's a coincidence that these numbers, the 603,550, is exactly the same. And there's been a lot of things that can change since the last time they took the census.
Right.
7 months before.
I didn't think about that. The aging in, the aging out.
Yeah. And the Levites were counted first, and they're not counted now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to see, and then the first census, one last thing, I promise.
Yeah. Okay.
The first census, that it's a half shekel, was given to make the structures sockets. I can say that 3 times. So they took those shekels and they made the sockets for the structures. It was the stability for that portable tabernacle.
Wait. So redemption?
Redemption. So I'm going to read something that I found. It says, the source of the silver used to make the sockets came from a special collection. And this is reading out of Exodus 30. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, when you take the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then they shall give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. And when you number them, that there will be no plague among them. When you number them, this they shall give every one that passeth among them that are numbered. Oh, they number and then they're numbered. Half a shekel after the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerah. And half a shekel shall be the offering of the Lord. Everyone that passeth among them that are numbered from 20 years old and above shall give an offering unto the Lord. The rich shall not give more, the poor shall not. We've talked about this when we went through this portion. Everyone means the same amount. It says to make an atonement for your souls. And thou shalt take the atonement money for the children of Israel, and you're going to appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel, and make atonement for your souls. We could go super deeper in this. We're not going to. I'm going to leave it for your homework. I'll just say this. There were 100 sockets. What does 100 stand for? Where else do you see 100 in the tabernacle? You're going to see it a lot. How does that relate to Yeshua? Lots of ways. It's a big deal. These little numbers, these little things, these little counting, these little names, they're not for nothing.
Right.
And we
No.
just zoom through them, and every year there's something you can grab onto and be like, oh, when did that get put in there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just reading all the names and then looking at the names of
Yes.
how the Holy One called up. He called up.
Yeah.
In every tribe, he called
Called
up
them.
someone who would stand in his shadow,
Yes.
someone who would represent, who would illuminate the path for others.
Yes.
Every person was deliberately chosen, like Bezalel and Aholiab, right? They were
to illuminate. Yes.
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 And to bring forth the kingdom of God.
Mm-hmm.
And so here we go. Let's
jump
like,
into the names.
What if all of the people that were brought in, they were all equal because it was a level playing field.
Yeah.
And yet each individual had a job to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the same job as everybody else.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
No.
And so there was uniqueness even in the, status quo, I guess you would say. There was no uniqueness.
Even with the Levites, and I mean, I really do want to talk about these names, but even with the Levites, it was interesting that when they do the numbering, though when they count them, they're counted from 1 month old to make sure the baby's viable. They count from 1 month old and there's no end age. That baby is given, it's counted unto that baby as if it's given its whole life in the service of God. Its whole life. It's the same thing as what's the, oh my gosh, not Samuel. It says his days Samson? He was counted. It was counted as if, I think it was Samuel. Someone find it. It was as if his whole life he had served. He was all his days. So he was So anyways, it's there's not our numbering system and this is better than this and that. It's not how God works. So we need to knock it off, right? Yeah. But let's jump into the importance of these names, because you and I love this. We talk about this almost every year. We've taught this, and we've been doing this for like almost 10 years together now. A while. It's been a minute. But we're running through genealogies, and usually we get through those super quick. But I'm going to challenge you guys to go through this slowly and ask the Holy One, what do I need to know about these names? Because I promise you, the word says the anointing will teach you. The Holy Spirit's going to lead you in all truth. So you can ask him and he will show you. There's a reason for the name of these portions. There's a reason for the names of these books. So what does Midbar mean, right? What does this mean? We jump in, usually say what? The wilderness, right? So Brenda, this is your specialty. And again, not to throw you out there. Yeah. But I wrote notes, so just in case. Yeah. We have, and I wrote it, my notes for this say, I wrote it for my own study was the Beit, the Mem, Dalet, Beit, Resh. So we have this house, we've left at one house, and there's movement now through a doorway. I'm thinking into a new place of instruction to gain new knowledge, to gain where our head is, get our head on straight. Yeah. I mean, really? Yeah. Like, there. Yeah. You can make that prettier. That's the Charlie version.
Okay, that's good. The Midbar, Charlie, you remember that we were listening to the gentleman who was talking about the Midbar, and he called it something different. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, I digress. Okay, so the bet, the letter bet is the first letter of the word Midbar in Hebrew. And the letter bet, it represents a house. But even more than that, like we said, there's always more to the story. Yeah. Part of the backstory of the house means the family. It means
where you're getting taught, right? Where do you get your instructions?
You're being taught and instructed, and you are being filled up so that you're going to be able to go out of the house.
Yes.
You're teaching, you're instructing. And then the mem is the water. And it is also that movement that takes you from one place into the next. And so here we're seeing in the desert.
Yeah.
The
house of Egypt, they left. They
Yes.
went through the
Yep.
waters.
Exactly. And
Through
then
a
they
doorway.
placed in through a doorway, the dalit,
Yeah.
which is a doorway, which is a unlimited potential, unlimited possibilities. It's moving from one realm to the next realm. It's so supernatural. Can you imagine when the water parted? That corridor, that portal, that place that they were walking through, that dalit that they were walking through there was taking them from one realm to another realm.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes when we're reading and timelines don't match up really good, it's very interesting. Okay.
Yes.
And then the next letter, of course, is once they get through that, a bet shows up again.
Oop, there we go.
Another home, but it's a different home because it's a home that has been purified by the water.
Yes.
And by the door. And Yeshua said that he's the door.
He's the door. We're going to see this in a little bit too. We see about the curtains being made for the door.
Yes. And then the last letter is the resh, which is the head, which is the place where we the thing that leads us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the thing that's the most exalted. And it's the thing that leads us. It's the number one. It's that thing that's lifted up. And when he said that he wanted to lift up the heads, we call it census. But he was saying, I want these heads lifted up. Who we are, where the brain is right here. Yes. He wants that all lifted up to him. He wants our eyes lifted up to him. So that we are the tabernacle, so that we become that place of refuge for the Spirit of God.
Yes.
He's residing within us.
Right. This wilderness, Brenda, was not a punishment.
Not at all. Oh my God.
This is not a punishment. So we're thinking, oh, it's dry. They had to go on a punishment. They had to do it for 40 years.
They had to stay there till they died.
It was, they needed this place. And I know Gail, we are blessed that we have Gail Heaton that does the Parsha points for us.
Oh,
and
amazing.
she has Genesis out already, and she's working on getting the rest of them. But she has already given us an overview of these for years. And now she's put them in book format and added to them, so they're even better. Through Ancient Eyes, you can get Genesis. I know through Ancient Eyes on Amazon. Yes, for sure. But I she gives us this really this perspective about it's not a time out. It was more a time in for the wilderness. And I copied and pasted, like I just wanted to read it. It says, a time in, however, is a separation between the child and the stressor, but only the child remains with the parent or the caregiver. They remained with them as opposed to having to be on a timeout. A time in, the child remains with the parent or the caregiver, and the parent or the caregiver helps to co-regulate the child.
What?
The time in gives opportunity to the parent or the caregiver to really connect and then address whatever changes need to be made. The goal is connection between the stronger partner and the child. The time in is an incentive to rely on the stronger partner for its needs, and it also changes behavior. God is the God of the time in.
Wow. That gives me goosebumps. That's
right?
Beautiful.
And then she jumps in and she starts referring to liminal space, which she did was speaker for one of our conferences, She Waits. Again, yet another reason, there's two reasons you should be part of the Rooted Cafe. If you're not, is you could be reading all of her Ancient Near East perspective studies. Also, listen to her teaching on the liminal spaces. And she expands on that topic really beautifully. But the bottom line for me for liminal space, it's that middle space. This is not the desert, crawling. This is this middle time. And look up liminal space and do some, yes, it's supernatural. It's a time in. I think that was beautiful. It's the honeymoon.
Yeah, it is.
It's where you learn to depend on each other. You learn each other's ways. You learn the dance steps. For me, I was reminded this time for some reason that it was like boot camp for me. All my old identity was stripped away from me and eliminated. The reason is because I needed to be regrouped and I re-identify and be cohesive. That cohesiveness was instilled in me, how to walk the way everyone else walked, so that we walked as a unit somewhere. We looked like each other. We dressed like we could depend on one another. We were cohesive, and it wasn't breaking us down to break us, but it was so that we would build an identity together. And I saw that in this Parsha this
That's a
time.
beautiful perspective,
Yeah.
Charlie.
Yeah,
That's
because
really beautiful.
before you're sent to your duty station to perform your intended function, I was in the military, in the Air Force, as a chapel manager. So before I went to Biloxi, Mississippi to learn how to be a chapel manager, the first thing I had to do was to learn how to be in the Air Force. The first thing I had to do was to learn how to do what everybody else did, to be part of a bigger picture, which is why there was the first count. And then I got moved into Biloxi, Mississippi, and now I became part of a different team. And there was actually teams in the teams. It was administrative, and then I was administrative portion of the chapel. So, I mean, I see that he's forming this identity for these Israelites, right? Right?
Yes, yes.
And I hope we look at the wilderness not as a punishment, but it was a place of preparation. And I think, again, this is one of those things someone needs to hear that today. You aren't in a punishment. You're not being punished right now. You're being prepared. You're not being put on a timeout. He's called you to a time in.
Yeah.
And he's wanting to be strengthened and looked after.
Amen.
So that when the time is right,
Mhm.
you're going to be ready, right?
Right, because he's the great shepherd.
Yeah.
He is tending you. He's tending me. He's tending us collectively and individually. He's doing this so that we are stronger as a unit. I love that analogy, Charlie, with the military. I think all of our military people completely got what you were saying. And that's how we need to look at and interpret the book of Numbers. He was setting us up for success.
Yes.
That's the bait. It is the house. It's the place where you are in that place for the time to be trained and instructed, and you are allowed to fail forward. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to do it and do it again and do it better and do it even better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And before you leave, that's what you learn. And this word, Midbar, has all of that in its story. And we see that out here in the in the wilderness.
Yeah.
We see that this is the place of instruction. This is intimacy.
How do we make a connection with that? We see they're in this this time in for 40 years. After they go through the water, their mikvah, they go 40 years. After Yeshua's mikvah, he goes to the time in for 40 days. And he's tested or during that time he's reminded, or he's brought to that place about he's tempted to turn, the evil one comes and says, turn the stones to bread. Okay, well, here's an issue about where's my provision coming from. And he's tempted, and he says, but every word, but by every word that proceeds of the mouth of God, right? I'm not going to live by bread alone. So he is showing that even though it was for 40 days, I believe it was a understanding of, in your liminal space, there's going to be times when you're in this in-between space, when you're in the doorway, in the threshold, when you're standing there and you're leaving one place and you're going into the next house.
Yes.
And you're in that doorway and you're ready to go into that next house and you're right in that space. There's going to be spots where you're tempted to do things on your own, to do not your will, but mine be done. It's going to be completely different, right? You're going to feel hungry. You're going to feel like tempted to take things on that aren't for you. There's going to be different kinds of temptations, and maybe that's what you're going through today. Maybe you're going through some stuff. First of all, you feel like you are on a timeout and you're punished. That's not the case. You're not being tempted, and things aren't. I mean, for me, I have felt there's been a weird stress. I don't know. It's a weird weightiness of some things. And our friend Jennifer Rogers posted something this morning on Facebook that she had a dream of this tsunami that came in, and it was like the vision. I think it's in Ezekiel where he goes out and he says, I went to my ankles, then I went to my knees, then I went to my waist. She was saying it was like that, and the tsunami was, even though it's been a struggle, he's about to just bust it open. You're in a liminal space. You're in this wilderness is not a bad thing. Quit fighting it.
Yeah.
But do it the way Yeshua did.
Right.
And let him minister to you in the middle of it. Get to know him in this. This is where you This is where you kavah, right? This is where you
Yes.
tightly bind yourself to him.
Yes.
You wait upon the Lord and renew your strength. Right.
Yeah. In the story that we learn about Yeshua and the 40 days, the number 40 would brings us right back to the 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Yeshua was showing us that you don't live by bread alone, but think about that. Take it back. What were they living on?
Manna, bread alone. Yeah.
Bread alone, right? But then he's saying no. And that's what they were being taught there in the Midbar, in the wilderness. They were being taught that the bread will sustain that part of you, in that part of you that needs to have sustenance, but his word, the words of his mouth will bring life. And so that's why he spoke through Moshe to tell everyone for all generations who he is, what he stands for, how he sees us, his plans, his hopes and his dreams for us individually and as a people
Yeah.
to go out. The thing is that God could just do this. He could just do this and it'd be done, right?
Right.
But he doesn't want to do that.
Mm-mm.
He wants us to go through these times of learning so that we become more like him, so that we start looking, like you were saying earlier, when we see somebody who's just really bad behaving, really bad. Okay. You all know that Aunt Sally or that, whatever. You all have one. And we're looking at them and all we can see is their bad behavior. That's all we can see. But he sees them from an eternal perspective of how he created, he knit them together in their mother's womb. He was there at the knitting. He was causing the knitting.
Right.
That's his creation.
Right.
And so he sees the spark of himself in that person.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be learning through all of these things that we're learning in the Torah and in the whole Tanakh. We're supposed to be learning how to suss out the divinity in every person we meet. So instead of, that quick judgment and that quick, we look with our eyes and we're like, oh, that's not really good. That's really sketchy. No, instead he's saying, who is that? Because that person got a half shekel just like you did.
Exactly.
That person got redeemed just like you did.
Yes.
And the redemption had to be 2 shekels put together. It couldn't be
right.
one.
And it took all of them to make the foundation of the tabernacle for those shekels. It took all of them.
You were gonna
the don't judge me, everyone. I'm going to give you a heads up. You may never listen again. But today, my husband and I went on a date lunch. We went on our date day.
Nice.
And we went to see the movie Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And everything we're saying, and some of you think, oh, that's a stretch. I'm going to tell you, it was like, oh my gosh, this was what that movie was really all. I mean, their whole thing was they were imparted to protect and tend the galaxy. And every life had a value. And you'll see, no matter what it looked like, no matter how mean it looked, crazy, these monsters. And I'm not, I'm not recommending anyone go, but I mean, it ministered to me. I'll just say it. For me, I was like, oh my gosh, this is our role.
Yeah.
I saw it in that. Is that truly, no matter what the creation, we are to find the light, that's divine spark. Initially in the garden, we are told you're to tend the garden, tend it and keep it, and now in this wilderness, we're told to tend and to keep his commandments and his Torah. It's practicing it, because now we're going to be going into this land flowing with milk and honey that we're going to have to tend. It's practice. This is what the liminal space is. This is what these in between, the Bamidbars. This is those in between spaces, wherever you're at right now. Learn it. Spend time in it. Get into it. I mean, I want to be 40 days and not 40 years, but like whatever it takes, I want to know it and be prepared. Sometimes I know we hear the word like, oh, he's telling me to be prepared. And we think that means we need to store away more like rice and oatmeal and beans. Maybe. But don't do that out of fear. Do it because the Holy One's telling you to do that. But he might be telling you to get prepared because he's calling you into this place to prepare to get to know him so that you can hear when he says turn, you turn. When he says stop, you stop. Because you know him so well, because you're in this, you learn you in this Bamidbar, you knew him and his word, everything you did was everything that proceeded out of the mouth of God. That's
Yeah.
what you lived by, right? So we go back to these names. I mean, you guys should look up a few of them. I think that every time a name is spoken, I think we talk about this a lot, Brenda. You and I do. Is it's the name. When a name is spoken, the name is you're proclaiming who the person
character.
is, the
Yeah.
character of who that
Like-
person is,
Like
right?
the animals that Noah named, he actually was calling forth their
identity.
character, their identity,
Yes.
and their job, what they do. It's the same with us.
Yeah. I the first names that are mentioned in this, the leader Elizur.
Uh-huh.
Elizur. There you guys go. Blah, blah, blah. Elizur. So his name actually means my God is the protector. Okay. And then the last name on the list is Enon, which is synonymous with the eye. And so it's interesting that in Deuteronomy 32:10, he says he protected them like the pupil of his eye.
Oh yeah.
So he's saying from I'm his protector all the way to the pupil of his eye. He's saying I'm carrying you through. You are like the pupil you are the pupil of my eye. I'm going to protect and watch over you. That's what's happening here. As I proclaim your identity over you, as even though I want proclaiming over each one of the parts so you're not so fragmented. We're going to get you in order. We're going to get some things, and I love me some order. I love things going in a certain way and a systems. He's getting systems going, but everything everything was done in a way that he was proclaiming how much he loved them, right?
Yes, always. He's always proclaiming his unfailing, unending. The word that keeps coming to me is racham. His unfailing loving kindness, the thing that will stretch across the universe.
Yeah.
Just for one person, for one eye.
Yes, for one person, one eye.
Yeah. That's just who he is. And here he is, he's calling upon these people and he's naming them and he's calling forth their identities, just like we talked about earlier with Bezalel and Oholiab.
Yeah.
Calling them forth, what were they supposed to be doing? I mean, is it a coincidence that Oholiab's name is, about the tent, right? Isn't his name?
I don't think that's none of it's a God incident, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you're looking that up, I mean, it's interesting that all of this, again, the important part here is that I really highly recommend that you go through each one of the names, even if you just do the 12 tribes, look up their names, spend some time. And if you guys need to go on the Rooted Cafe, go under our store. And Brenda and I tell you, the Blue Letter Bible for Not So Dummy, we take you through how to look up something. I mean, get to the root of it, all the hermeneutics, how to do it correctly so that you can find out, like, what did this really mean? And but the important part is that the heart of the camp was his presence.
That's the thing.
And it would be the first thing when they opened up their tent. Guess what they saw?
Yeah. What did they? Yeah.
His presence.
Exactly.
When they were leaving their tent, that's the first thing they saw. As they came back, they would see their banner up and reminded of their identity. Some of you may have a mezuzah in your house that as you leave or as you come or you go, you touch it and kiss it, because you're saying, I'm proclaiming that as I come in, this is a sanctuary. This is different. This is a set apart space than the world, right? But when they started coming back, they get closer and closer and they see their banner. They saw their calling. They saw their redemptive purpose.
That's right.
Again, dating back to Jacob's blessing over his sons. So my thing is this, is as you're leaving your home, are you leaving, and as you remember we had that old song, turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of her. So if he's the first thing we see, if he's where all of our attention is as we leave our homes, as we do things, if that's where our attention is going to be, and then as we come back into our homes, are we then re-identified with our purpose and our calling? It should restore it. Are we doing that to our children?
Yes.
Are we reinstilling their calling, who they're called to be, their redemptive purpose? Is that what's happening in the home? And then we send them back out with our eyes fixed on him, going out being the Kohanim, the kingdom of priests. We're going out and ministering to others, and then we come back in and get restored into our, okay, what's my redemptive purpose? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah. Could we just purpose to ponder that?
Yeah.
On a daily basis? I mean, even just one day, just try it for one day. Try it for one day in the midst of the hectic, busy, scheduled life that we all lead. Could we just purpose when we walk out the door that we would be what Yeshua called us as the light to the nations, the light of the world. He's the light. And then he said, now you be the light. Now you go forth. Now you be the candle that's burning. You be the one who is showing the way. Mm-hmm. It's more than, I mean, it's more than just, it's not about preaching. Can I say that?
No, it is not.
It's not about preaching. It's
well,
not
and if you go through this and you're looking, he talks even in here. We get a short little glimpse again about some things about the tabernacle. If we think my body is a tabernacle of the Holy Ghost, even if you spend a minute in that, I mean, you have so much homework you could do this week, everyone.
Oh,
you could spend on. We could chapter 3. Like I put verse 26. The hangings. They were 100 cubits long. That's a long time. There's your 100 again. There's a Q.
There you
There's
go.
Another 100. The root of that word for those hangings is the kalal, which is a kuf, a lamed, and an ayin.
Yo.
That is the hangings that were 100 cubits long.
Yeah.
So we have this thing that's supposed to be bringing our eye to this correction, and so that we mimic holiness. Like, is that what our bodies do? Do our coverings, the things that are woven together, which, by the way, another day we'll talk about the weaving, the way that some of the same verbiage that's used with the mixed multitude it's a weaver's term about the way, and that they hang pretty when the two are woven together nicely. But is that when people see us, are we a covering? Are we showing up in this covering that we have on us? Is that bringing people, are we mimicking the holiness and bringing the instructions with our, I mean, really, there's a lot that's going on with just that. Okay. And then it says the curtain for the door, the masak. And the root of that word masak. So there's the door, the dalet, and it says it's the curtain for the door, the masak. It's actually not a dalet, it's the root of that is patah for that door, which I'm gonna get there, I promise. The curtain is masak, and that
what
root
verse are we coming out of?
We're out of verse 26, 3:26.
Got it.
And then just in case anyone wants some Hebrew in for the day, okay. And that is again a weave. The curtain is the weaving or to make a hedge, this particular curtain for the door. But for the door, the root for that word door, the root is patah. And you can look it up. It's Hebrews 66:05. And the letters are pei, a tav, and a chet. Brenda, when I saw that, all of a sudden I saw John 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
The pei, the tav, and the chet. The patah. It's the opening. That's what I saw there.
Wow. I'm just looking at it, just shaking my head. Man. So beautiful.
I mean, we see Yeshua in everything, right?
Yes, exactly. We have to.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, I interrupted you. The pay is
No. I'm looking at, where is it? 26. The curtains of the courtyard. Okay. Yeah. Well, tell me the letters again, because I don't have my.
No, you're fine. Yeah,
there it is. 6607 for the door, Petah.
Yeah, and it's
pei, the tav, and the chet.
Yep.
The pei being the mouth, the instrument of vocalization. Also, it's what goes in and what comes out. So that's the pei, of course. And the tav is the covenant. It's the seal and the covenant of the Holy One. And the chet is the place where covenants are made in safety and
Mhm.
security.
Mhm.
It's the gate that guards. It's the thing that separates a garden off.
Right.
So that is really beautiful. That is the doorway.
That is the
The
doorway.
Word of God.
And it's that when John 14:6, when he says, I am the way, I'm the
I am the
truth, I am
way.
the tav, I am the truth of all that, and I'm
Mhm,
life. Het
mhm.
is life.
Yeah, it's the chet is from makes the word
Chaim.
high, which is life.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just so beautiful, and his life is his covenant with us. That's his
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
He is covenanted with us,
Yeah.
and that's life. That's his life to us.
It's so beautiful. We only have a couple minutes, but in pulling all that together, we've talked about our identities, proclaiming identities, proclaiming our names,
Mhm.
and if we take ourselves, like our body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. And are we walking out the way that Messiah Yeshua did, as he modeled for us,
Yeah.
as he walked it out and he modeled it for us? Is that how my life looks? Because no, not no.
Mhm.
Better every year, better every day. I am becoming set apart,
Yes.
becoming
Yes.
kadosh, becoming, right?
Yeah.
um, just the way he is. And I don't want any of you to get discouraged, but I want you to see that it matters. The little things that we go through, it matters, because sometimes you may act a little more kadosh because you're wearing something a little more kadosh.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I can tell
Oh,
you there was
really?
a season in my life when I wore some things not so kadosh. And I didn't act very kadosh. Had I wore something differently, there was a little attitude that came with maybe the less modest outfit that I had put on for the day. Sometimes it's not, it's there's things, these little things matter. The names matter.
Yeah.
Your identity matters to him. He's calling you forth. And Brenda, right there, this is not a punishment. He
No,
wants to do a time in with you.
a time in. Love
He
that.
wants to do a time in. He
Yeah.
wants to take you in,
Mhm.
cover you up, teach you who he is, and show you who you really are.
Yes.
So don't fight it.
Mm-mm.
Don't fight
Love
it.
it. Someone's feeling that tug, don't fight it. If you don't know him, if you're thinking this is crazy, I don't even know what you guys are talking about, but you feel that tug within you, that's the Holy Spirit tugging on you saying, you're mine and I love you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And there's nothing that can separate you from me. So this is your time. This is your
Yeah,
time.
this is
Just
your
say
time.
yes.
Yeah. So if you don't know him, we want you to know him
We
because
want you
he's
to.
calling you. Maybe this is your first time in,
Yeah.
and it's not a punishment. You got on this program by accident, and we just want to say that it's never too late, and we want to call you into his presence and know it's okay for you to ask Jesus, Yeshua, to be your Savior and your Lord, and that you want him to be ruler of your life and bring your identity forth, call you by name. And he's calling you now. And I just ask that in your own words, that you would just take some time to just lay your life down to him. It's time. He's reorganizing you in the camp right now, and he wants to bring you in the community. And so we want you in. So would you let us know also how we can pray for you? And thank you, Brenda. We'll
You're
see you
welcome.
later.
See you soon. Bye.
זה שיר פשוט, זה שיר קצר, אולי נשמע טיפה מוזר, אבל תדע, כי זו עובדה, שאלוהים אוהב אותך, והוא רואה, והוא שומע, ואכפת לו מכל דבר קטן, תדע לך, שזו עובדה שאלוהים אוהב אותך.
זה שיר פשוט, זה שיר קצר, אולי.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.